Hey everybody, this is Brett with the Indie Comics Dispatch, and broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep within the Milky Way galaxy, this is Broadcast from the Dispatch. Hello, sir.
What's going on, Brett?
Greg, or one of our friends is going to yell at you for not doing it right.
Yeah, for not doing it right. How you know he'll be happy? Maybe he'll talk during the show. Ain't that right, Greg?
So I'm looking down, I'm listening to you, but what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm sharing the feed to various groups. And so if you're out there watching us and you're like, hey, how can I help promote this awesome show tonight? Share it. Sharing is caring.
Exactly.
So, man, we have had a great week.
Yeah.
With the Kickstarter, that is.
Yeah. I know.
So
jumped up to past 4,500, which is dope. Thanks everybody that supported. That's super dope. Because now y'all are gonna get a trading card of Britt and I battling each other. So
and it's already been sent to the artist. He is working on it. The same artist that did the art on our other cards. Gleason Roby. I think I'm saying that right. That's how I say it in my head. I don't know.
Sometimes that's not right though.
A lot of times it's not right. A lot of times. So we were in the last 4 days of the year 2 Kickstarter. This is our last show, kind of celebrating Indie Comics Dispatch and our community that we've created here. And so we're doing ICD Friends Mega Edition tonight. I wanted 10 people on the show. We fell a little short because a couple people had to back out last minute for good reasons. I'm not mad at anybody except that one person. You know who you are.
Yeah. Know who you are. But life happens.
Life happens.
Except for that person, no excuse.
Right. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, I'm a friend of Indie Comic Dispatch, hey, DM me on either Instagram or anywhere, and I'll send you the link and we'll let you join in, because we got 3 spots I think left. If I'm adding right. Message me and we'll send you the link. You can be on for ICD Friends Mega Edition. Tonight we're going to chat. I got some headlines pulled up. If we get to it, if we just want to talk and have a cathartic session, then we can do that too. And so we'll just figure it out.
It's gonna be fun times. Yeah. Alcohol, and I think maybe I'm the only one. No, I'm not. There we go.
No.
What is that? What do you have today?
I made another martini, and people are going to make fun of me because I don't have a martini glass. Because I mostly drink whiskey, but I had stuff for martini left, and I figured before the vermouth went bad, I was going to have another martini. So
nothing wrong with that. I've planned on going to get that one beer I was telling you about. But I didn't get to go. So then I was like, maybe I'll make a whiskey sour, but I didn't have any more of the Voss sparkling water, so I was like, you know what? I guess it's just straight whiskey tonight. It was either that or wine, but I'm not about to drink wine.
We got somebody on Instagram saying, hello there. Well, hello there to you.
What's going on?
All right. You ready to introduce our friends?
Yeah. Let's bring them in. Let's bring in the friends. Bring in the crew.
So we do have lots of people tonight. So again, we'll see what happens. Hey, John, how you doing, man? Staple of the show. If when he's not here, he's at least commenting or at least talking trash about us behind the scenes. Paige Turner. Hey there, Paige
Turner. What's up? Sorry, I was just watching a better show.
We get it. There's lots of them.
What were you watching?
Cocktail Hour is one of the best parts of the show. I couldn't agree more, Ben.
I was going to have a drink tonight, but I took some medicine instead. So.
Yeah. When I was on not that kind here. Not that kind. Not your kind. You called him out.
When in Rome.
Saying it came in.
Nice.
Very nice. Very
nice. Not really Paige Turner, Aaron Down, Catalyst Comic Studios. His better half could not be here tonight. He's one of the ones that couldn't make it due to valid reasons. So if you're out there like, hey, I'm a friend of the Dispatch, DM me. We'll send you the link, and maybe you can be on. Yeah,
and then Britta showed me your name, and then I'll decide.
Yeah, like I said, they might leave you on red.
Yeah,
might just leave you on red.
that cleared up, by the way. I haven't followed up with that, but I'm no longer on red. It's a thing that happened. I'm no longer on red. I got replied to.
Hey, but cool.
I know it was yesterday. Finally, like yesterday, after like over a week.
I mean, I heard there's some good news about the news and the website.
Oh yeah, there is. We'll get to that. We will definitely get to that.
If you don't mention it, then I'm going to.
The individual.
No, I'm just kidding.
Next up, our friend and show host of his own, Scorpio Chronicles. Scorpio.
Hey,
Scorpio.
Based on your handles, it's Scorpio Chronicles.
Yeah,
don't play with me. You know it's Scorpio.
It's Scorpio. Scorpio.
And just because he had nothing else going on this evening, my uncle John Schlim.
Y'all do
look older, a little bit wiser.
Yep.
John Schlim, Ovation Comics. He's supposed to be on the show like twice, I think, when I've been here, at least. Stuff happened. He was on with Scorpio this past week. You have a little bit of time left in your Kickstarter, don't you, John?
24 hours.
Tomorrow, yeah, we have one day, less than 24 hours, actually.
And it's just been going so bad. So really struggling.
Until he hit Kickstarter connections, then it got him another 1,000. So
I was fortunate to be on Kickstarter connections with the man, the myth, the legendary Scorpio Chronicles, and had a nice boost overnight. So,
dude, I was thrilled because I didn't even know until like this afternoon. Already a rough day, and then I was like, "Oh, look at Schlim killing
it." You said it like
that? I did.
We will drop it, John. If you can, at some point during the show, drop your Kickstarter link in the private chat. We'll drop it in the chat for everybody else too during the show. And so go support John. We have another Kickstarter other than the Indie Comics Dispatch Kickstarter going on also, and that relates to Brian Lambert of Wingless Comics. Brian, our creator one of our creators in residence.
Is that Street Fighter back there? That's what I'm talking.
It is actually X-Men versus Street Fighter.
So like half right. What it is right. Brian got jealous of voicing my arcade machine in the background and built his own.
Whatever inspires you.
I mean, it's yeah. I get these speakers working, then it's gonna be on, man.
How many of us are wearing our own merch tonight?
I mean, I am.
I feel like all of us, we all should be at this point.
I'm mixed.
Scorpio, are you wearing a black shirt?
Yep.
That feels like your character right there, man. Dark and brooding.
So, Brian, we talked to John about his Kickstarter. Tell us about your Kickstarter.
We're about a week in on Justice #2. We're doing really, really well. We're selling. We had a great first week. We're at over 4,500 right now. Moving towards our first stretch goal at 5,000, which is a custom sticker from Fabio somehow. And we actually got to, as our $4,000 bonus, we announced a title from a certain guy is random that we know.
I don't know who it is.
Right. We announced our newest title, Immortalis, from the brilliant, crazy, and off-kilter mind of Brett himself.
What?
Just kidding.
And where's the remove button? Let me find that.
I was going to start chanting one of us, but I was like, I'll let it go.
All the while I'm trying to copy John's damn link here. Brian, if you can also, if not, I can probably pull it up. If you got the link handy, drop the link in the private chat, and we'll be sure to share that.
Please we're gonna tell look me for that Greg's the only one left, just sitting in the back.
No, well, he was until Q just joined too. So okay. Q just got finished up with work, and so Q's here too.
So Q put the aliens away, and now he could join us.
Exactly. So we do have on the show tonight, we invited him to the show so he could just get ideas directly from the source. And so, Greg, make sure you're taking good notes of what we do this evening so you can apply them to your shows tomorrow. Greg Moquin. I should have warned you.
Greg's laughing because he's like, haha, I am.
Greg, control or Command C and Control or Command V.
Oh wow.
Greg's on a PC like me. I don't know what he's on.
Greg looks like a PC guy.
God. Did you guys see? I copied John's link and then I just dropped it back in the private chat again.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh God.
Because I should check out John's campaign.
It's one of those.
That little martini a little heavy for you, bro?
I just took the first sip.
Made a little heavy-handed.
You shook it. You shook it. You didn't stir it. That's what it was.
That's not a martini then.
Snob.
And one of my favorite people on this entire planet, Quentin from Quentin's Engine Works. Dude, you have been killing it lately. You've been writing reviews. You're taking a small break from your own show because you're a wonderful father. And but you've been filling in by writing news articles. Like, holy hell, man.
I was wondering what that was. It gives me something to do.
That's amazing. And you are joining us live from Area 51 or 52 or 53. We can't disclose the exact number. But so Q's here. He's joining us from work. He's here for as long as he has signal or until he gets yelled at by his boss, one or the other.
Or attacked by an alien.
Or attacked by an alien. Stranger things have happened. I'm going to remove everybody else from the stream for a minute and let Quentin explain to Brian why he got a 4.5. Ready? No, I'm just joking.
This show's really becoming different.
Isn't it? So tonight we are going to just talk about Indie Comics Dispatch. We're going to talk news items from the website, but Aaron hinted at it before. If you Google, I'll watch you guys do this, and algorithms changed already. If you Google Indie Comic News. Oh, Brian got booted. His signal is a little slow, so I'm sure he'll be back.
He'll be back.
Indie Comic News, ICD is number 3 on the Googles.
Really?
Yep.
Who's above us?
Well, we don't want to say online.
We don't talk about them.
Yeah, we don't talk about. We don't
want
to.
You mean our next 2 targets? Is that?
Exactly. Is it because they do indie? Is it because they do all the mainstream stuff and they do an indie comic like once every 6 months? Those guys. Yeah. Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Well,
everyone else. Gotcha.
One of them is the type of website you can't even open without your whole screen being filled with ads.
I was about to say one of them you go on and you have to go to the really dark back corner to find any indie comic books.
Yeah. There's Brian. He's back.
And that, everybody, is why Brian got a 4.5.
Because he came back.
Perfect timing.
The 4.5. Okay.
No, we weren't until you came back. No. If you look on there, we have if you Google Indie Comic News and you go to the third result on Google, you can see actually that Brian's advanced copy is, I think, number 2 highest reviewed comic for this month. So Justice 2, he sent out an advanced copy to Quentin, and Quentin ranked it at 4.5. That's why we're joking about it, because it's one of the top comics right now.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I know why you're joking. I know why you're joking about it, but I'm not going to bring it up on the show.
Okay. I don't know either. I thought I just said what
is this episode called The Awkward Silence? Because we're getting a lot of that.
I think
There's a lot of awkward silences. The last 2 weeks we've gone through some craziness.
Dude, on the real.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
So
much salt.
Much salt. Yeah. So, you guys ready for some headlines here?
Absolutely.
Let's hit it. Ah. Covered up for a second here. If you go to IndieComicsDispatch.com, you can read all sorts of cool news and feature articles. So first off, tonight with headlines is it crowded in here? This is
I'm alone right now, but yeah.
Today. We posted this morning. And Aaron, you want to give us a lowdown? You have the author on. Let's let him talk about it.
Yeah, I was just writing up a little bit of, people sometimes might notice that it seems like a lot of people are making comics right now. It might be intimidating for new people. So I wanted to take an approach of things you could do to both set yourself apart and reasons why it shouldn't really bother you that so many people are doing it. And I do talk a little bit about the industry stuff and how things seem to be, well, Brett's mentioned it before, things seem to be starting to level back out a little bit. So I don't know, just whatever.
Okay, guys, what do you think about that? The field, and I talked actually a little bit kind of about this with TJ Sterling in my live with him right before we came here, about, kind of a lot of people have entered indie comics during the corona. And so things have feel more crowded right now, especially in the absence of cons. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that the bar has been lowered, or do you think the bar has been raised by so many people getting into indie comics?
I even get into that in my article.
You didn't, but I'm taking us there. Yeah, I'm taking us there.
What was the question? I heard you, but I'm just trying to.
Has the bar been raised, or the bar been lowered by so many people being in indie comics right now?
What was the question?
Oh my gosh.
Nobody wants to answer.
Let's see. How can I answer this? I think since so many people have gotten into indie comics now, I do believe that there are. And I hate to use my name as a namesake, but I think there's tiers now. Where there's some folks who are, and then there's some folks who are, but they think they're. So it's like,
is he preaching right now?
Yeah, so it's weird. It's just like, it's like businesses. You get a lot of businesses. You're gonna have those businesses that are good at what they do, and then you're gonna have those businesses who say they are, and then they're not here 2 years later.
So, do you think that's the case, or do you think it's always been that way? And because of Kickstarter and everybody being online right now, we just see and hear them more?
I think now with the push of the internet and stuff like that, a lot of people think that they can. I think also it has a lot to do with people thinking that it's easy. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many people have approached me and asked questions, and then when I give them the rundown, they're like, You got to do all of that. I'm like, yeah, you got to do all of that. I'm like,
everyone listening right now is listening to a panel full of billionaires. We made all of our fortunes off of indie comic books. So join us,
All 5 of my titles are optioned for a movie. So
that's right. I option them at least once a day.
Exactly.
This would be a cool movie.
I option so
that brings up a good point too, is that we see with the success of Marvel Cinematic Universe that's not the only. Corona's not the only factor right now, right? People see stuff happening, indie titles from like Image and stuff being developed and optioned by Netflix. Black, which is a completely indie title to its own, not even under Image. It's being developed as a series. And so people are thinking that there is I don't want to say get rich quick scheme, but people are thinking that this will lead to money.
I want to hear John's perspective, because John's been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, he has. John has been.
I think you're right on, Brett. It's full of people who think they're going to get rich quick, or think they're going to do 2 comics and then nail a movie deal right off the bat. And I think that to get into tier, it's hard to say whether it's good or bad for it because, it's bringing in a boatload of people who are completely inexperienced, but it's also bringing in a boatload of heavy hitters, which we've seen. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the indie creators, like myself too, you fear them because and it's inevitable when I launch like a week and a half in, some major dude hits and it's like, just cranking out numbers. I'm like, why is it always when I'm live? But really, they're also bringing people into Kickstarter, and hopefully they're not going to just go. And I haven't read Aaron's piece yet, so this could be very well what he touches on. So it's bringing more and more people in there. Honestly, what I fear more than the competition is people who don't know what they're doing, failing to deliver on what they promised, and that undermines the integrity of all of us. So that's my bigger concern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would echo that. When you give them advice, that's my other problem too.
Yeah. What's that here?
And then when they don't listen when you give them advice, because a lot of people like John. I'm sorry. Who's that? Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
Greg's talking, guys.
Raise your hand.
Actually talking. Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
Someone woke me up today and was like, "How do I run a Kickstarter?" I was like, "Can you pay me and then I'll tell you?"
First
I launched 2 days ago. How can I run a Kickstarter after I launched?
Yeah, someone literally was like, "Oh, well, we didn't hit
First off, if you're connected to anybody in this group and you're asking us those questions like it's not been extensively discussed or written up on multiple web, we got Indie Comics Dispatch.
I have 2 articles.
Not only articles, but podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, there's never been more resources for indie comics creators than there are right now.
I know, like I've said multiple times, when I started, it was nothing. Like no one was trying to help each other. It was nothing.
Dude, I came in 2 years ago, and it was bone dry. We had no idea what we were doing. The only way we knew then was to start talking to other creators. But now you could just Google stuff and actually find results.
Exactly.
Sometimes you Google Indie Comics News and you get 3 down and you find Indie Comics Dispatch.
Exactly. So I know when I first came in, one of the first ones that I found was Comics Tribe. That's when I learned about barcodes and all that other stuff. And then of course my friend Thomas and John also, a lot of people don't know, but John Schlimm and I have known each other for years now. He used to post stuff and I'm like, hey, can I use that? And we'll ask each other questions back and forth. But now and it's crazy now because we didn't have that then. So some of us had to talk to each other, but now it's everywhere. Like the page turner was saying. And
I keep forgetting that's what I put. It's like, who are you talking about?
Who are you talking about? And then it's like, now that that's there, it's like nobody wants to utilize it. Nobody wants to look at that stuff and research it.
Well, I won't say nobody. We get lots of people who thank the Dispatch, at least, for the resources we put out and really eat it up. And I will say it is frustrating when people don't try to search stuff first. But I don't mind when people ask me some advice, I guess.
There's a limit.
Yeah. Like if you come to me and they're like, how do I run a Kickstarter? I'm going to be like, well, first of all, I'm running my first.
We're going to have to set up a consultation.
Yeah.
If you really want to have a conversation about it, because Greg and I have talked about this, Tier and I have talked about this. We are all at the point now where it's, if you want us to dedicate time to actually walk you through stuff, there's a consultation fee now. And it's not that we think we're any better. It's just we have to spend time doing this stuff too.
Yeah. It's busy. Because I can tell you right now, just this week alone, with my main gig and Temple High issue 2 and rewards for Cypher Team issue 1 and prepping the relaunch for Cypher Team issue 2 and inking Stars issue 2 and working with the artist for the Hellfighter Ash Can that's coming. That's just this week.
Right.
So that's the reason why we say, a consultation price. And it's not, again, like the page turner said, I'm going to keep saying the page turner.
Best moniker I've ever picked.
It is.
We're not thinking that we're so grand that you have to pay us money. It's just like now it's like, yo, we're busy, so in order to pull from that so that we can give you your undivided attention, we need, it's just like anything, That's the reason why you pay for a quarter pounder when you go to McDonald's.
I will say there was something in a chat this week, and setting like retailer pricings for indie comics to set retailer pricings. Some of you guys were in that chat. And as we hear stuff at Indie Comics Dispatch, you guys can pay these people to consult with you. It's worth it. All three of our one-on-one sessions are taken on the Kickstarter because people realize it's worth it to have an indie comic veteran to talk to. But
he accidentally called me a veteran. Go ahead. Cute, real cute, Brett.
You have put out more than one book successfully. So
exactly. Exactly.
But as we hear these ideas too, we develop them into shows, into articles on the Dispatch. So if you have legitimate questions that aren't out there, let us know, right? We want to fill those holes. We want to fill those gaps. But if you're asking, how do I run a Kickstarter? Well, there's a million resources for that. Google is your friend, right?
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, I've been thinking about doing some, when I have the time, do some write-ups for, just quick steps to put on ICD for quick, just so folks can go to it and be like, so how do I do dialogue? And there you go. How to write dialogue from Tier Jackson with John Schlemm and the Page Turner.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it with Brett before. I think it'd be cool to team up with all the our crew of people and be like, well, give me your favorite 2 tips about this particular thing, and actually form like an education side to the website because it's already there. I think it's just a matter of reorganizing to have that section separate. But I think it would help a lot of people.
I think it would too.
Kind of create like a little knowledge base on the site where people could just quickly go to and figure out things.
Well, that's interesting. If you're out there watching this, drop this in the comments too. We had an idea sent to us this week when I was on live with Lost Children of Andromeda, Jason Michael Primrose, who has a comic project upcoming also. He's written 2 novels now and has a comic project. We got a tip saying, you guys really need to do a message board on the website where people can drop in and ask questions and get answered by somebody. And so that may not be a bad idea, even if it's just to link them to one of our articles, right? So it's a thought. It's out there. If you're out there listening, and you think, hey, that's a good idea, let us know.
And if you want that knowledge base too, let us know that too, because that'll help out too.
Yeah.
Just let us know how John can help.
Yeah, let us know how to. So this goes into, and I want Quentin and Scorpio to make sure they chime in on this next article here and Greg wrote this next article so he can tell us what he was thinking when he wrote it.
Scorpio looked like he's ready to go off at any moment.
But this is
show me the article.
The support system, about having a support system as a creator. Greg, you want to tell us about it?
Well, it's about a system that supports you. So
and
layman's terms.
This guy writes comic books, guys.
Not only is Greg talking tonight, but he has jokes. Yeah. What is going on?
Yeah. So
I'm shy.
John Westoff. Is that how you say his last name? Yeah. He actually commented on when I shared that post. Oh, there you go.
John.
And he's like, seems like you were a little moody when you wrote that. I'm like, no.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's more of like people. That goes back to like what we were talking about before. Like people ask you a question and then you answer it and give them advice, and then they don't take your advice. So that's basically what that was for.
And wonder why things fail.
Yeah.
What? Like, you mean things fail if you don't listen to someone who's trying to help you?
Well, now I will say sometimes you ask multiple people and you get differing advice, though, too.
Yes.
Okay, so there was a guy that used to be on our platform, no longer. He ran a Kickstarter. He asked me questions before, and then he completely just didn't listen at all. He's like, all right, so I just launched a Kickstarter. I was like, you have to do like 9 other steps first. And he's like, no, I don't. I'm like, you asked me for help. And then he's like, oh, well, my goal is $75,000. I was like, well, what?
For what?
I'm sorry, what company do you write for?
And I was like, I'm not going to mention his company name, but yeah. So he put a goal of $75,000. And then I'm like, well, gonna let you know right now that's gonna fail. He's like, well, that's not nice. I'm like,
guys, this week's Patreon exclusive. He's gonna mention the company name.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
If your name isn't Todd McFarlane, it's not happening.
No.
Yeah.
He's the only one. Todd's the only person out there who could say, "Hey, 75,000." Everybody's like, "Here's 4 million." He's like,
there's some others, but
by the way, Todd, if you're out there watching this, we'd love to have you as a guest on the show.
Exactly.
Scorpio, you are in the process of putting together your first book right now. You've been very open about that on your IG, so I'm not spilling any beans here. But let's talk about your support system a little bit. I'm behind the scenes, so I know you've been talking to other veteran creators. How has that been helpful for you?
It has been very helpful, actually.
What if he was just like, nah, like I don't even listen to him?
We're gonna come out the show.
Pretty much just whatever they say, I do the opposite.
You already know that's not happening because I've already told the veterans that I spoke to my book cannot bomb. I don't boosted it up too much for it to go bad. But to have the
bombs is your fault.
What happened?
I said if it bombs, it's your fault.
Exactly, because I didn't listen. But we know that's not the case. But to have that support system, especially when you're just now beginning to do this, to me is very important. And what Tia and I was talking about earlier today, I don't understand if you're writing a comic, why you don't want to do research and actually read comics. I don't understand that part. It's like
last time I almost got cussed out.
Like I was telling him, it's like my favorite rapper of this time now, my girl Nicki Minaj. She'll tell you, I studied under this person, this person, this person.
You just like looking at Nicki.
Yeah, Nicki.
I mean, I don't blame you.
Yeah. I'm looking at her right now. Actually, I'm on her IG. Yeah.
See,
but she'll tell you who she studied under, and that's why she is one of the rappers that cannot be touched. I don't care. No one can.
You brought something up really interesting that I don't hear a lot of indie comic creators talk about. Is when I say when you say studied under, I even mean like people in the indie comics community.
Yeah.
Because for instance, John was one of the first people that we even came in contact with when I got into this stuff. And so I've very much watched him throughout this whole time period. Yep. So I never hear people talk about that stuff. I think that's pretty interesting to hear that.
That is interesting. Let me I'll turn back over to you in just a second, Scorpio. But you're right. You don't hear that. It's like the term indie removes people from thinking they have to learn or be mentored.
Or
Scorpio,
take it
I'm sorry
seriously.
for interrupting. Go ahead.
Yeah. We'll take it seriously. I heard that.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of people don't take independent comics seriously. I mean, because I've had someone that I knew, they said the same thing. They were like, "You really think that those comics are actually that good?" I said, "Have you read them?" Because a lot of them that I've read, they're way better than Marvel and DC. So, and they're the big ones. But like I said, I never understood why you don't read and study and research. The people that I watch, of course, are pretty much in this circle right here, and they know I blow up their DMs in a heartbeat. Like, look, I don't get it. I don't understand. Help me understand. So I'm literally going back and reading their digitals that they sent me that they've already written. Like I did Ayana Stigmata 1, I'm gonna do 2, and I'm gonna do Paradigm 1 tomorrow. And I'm actually gonna do I already did Everville, but Infinity Agents, John, I haven't read that yet. I can't wait to get it.
You're missing out. You need to read
it. Infinity Agents is really good.
John, I want to present this. Whenever you have the opportunity, I want to present this. Ayana Stigmata Infinity Agents crossover.
Dude,
Tier's all about the crossover stuff lately.
I'm 100%.
Tier,
I also
story, the Infinity Agents. Oh my God.
See, sorry, we got it.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that.
Yeah,
it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like those two groups. And Scorpio, he read 1 and he kind of cussed me out because of something I did to a character. Ask Brett, wait till you read 2. If you cuss me out over 1, when you read 2, you're going to be angry.
Which series?
Ayana Stigmata.
Oh yeah, okay.
Why did you mess with Scorch? You didn't have to mess with Scorch like that.
He's so mad about that.
So I want to come back to
quenched?
that. Quenched.
Quenched.
He said scorched, not parched.
Oh.
Wow.
I want to come back to that a second. Indie doesn't mean you do it on your own, right? So it shouldn't mean that, but so many people do that. Indie means you're not part of the big two, essentially. There's a lot of different, and this is where Aaron's definition comes in so much handier of small press comics. That think of it in that terms, that it doesn't mean you're doing this comic independently. There's a vast sea of resources and people out there that will help you if you're willing to ask. So I don't know. Maybe smallpressdispatch.com needs to be registered. I don't know.
They just need to. People just need to get off their high horse and seek help. It's okay to get help.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what. So I do know that some people, they are on the high horse. So we've had people with the Dispatch who have put out a comic, and they admit to never having read comics before. And then you're like, well, I could tell, right? And so,
or they think they wrote gold.
Yeah, well, they think that, and
it's actually silver plated.
I don't even know.
Let me get nickel plated. There you go.
It was like old copper.
Copper.
So I want you guys to go around, you creators in the bunch, to go around and shout out to some of those people who've been instrumental in you learning along the way. Greg, we'll start with you to put you on the spot.
Yeah. And then we can hear you talk.
You were just you're the one I felt who hasn't spoken recently, and then we'll go to John so John can start thinking about his answer.
Well, I guess Aaron, technically. Aaron.
Stop.
Technically, Aaron.
Stop.
Technically, Aaron.
Technically, Paige Turner.
I did go to a comic book store in Lake Placid in April for my birthday, and I was talking to them and be like, oh, yeah, like I have a whole platform of comics. Like, if I can have them in here, like printed and stuff. And he's like, I said a small press publisher. After I heard that on like either Beards of Comics podcast or on here, one of these episodes, and he's like, "Do you need indie?" I was like, "Sure," but yeah,
no,
no.
It means I use Indiegogo because I'm serious.
I remember that guy. So
didn't fund.
Chuck Pino. He's pretty cool, but he's mentioned like all the time.
Sick of that guy.
Dude.
Travis Gibb.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy. I know that guy.
Yeah. Broke Down is like one of my favorite series. So
that explains a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm just being silly. Go ahead.
There's a bunch. I can't name all.
It's so funny how
you mentioned it last time, so you can't mention me now.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I did mention Tier last time.
Yeah,
he mentioned me, and it makes me feel weird. So.
Okay, before we go over to John, I'm going to just mention this. That's so funny to me when we have different people from different kind of sectors within the indie community, how the people they mention and how there are these very different and distinct circles within the indie comic community. And if you want to help break down those circles, pledge to the Indie Comic Dispatch Kickstarter, which is in the comments section.
Tearing down circles. It's all about squares here, y'all.
It is. Yep.
Point to
John,
point.
John, you've been in the game the longest, I think, out of anybody here. Except for maybe Tier, but I'm not sure exactly what year you got in the game. So let's. Who were your influences and your mentors along the way?
You know, and I am specifically not going to mention names because of the very reason you said. Because if there's one thing that grinds my ass, it is these circles within a community that really should be dependent on one another. And honestly, this is something I struggle with. I have times where I think like, am I just not a likable personality because I hang with a certain clique, and then it's just not really the same reciprocal generosity amongst each other. So then I kind of like move a little bit this way and it bounces around. And like, there's certain things you don't want to sacrifice as a creator just to fit into a clique, just like high school. So I kind of do my thing. I have a ton of influences, I would say, going back to, mainstream creators. And along the way, a variety of indie creators back from the original indie boom. I also write outside comics. So there's been writers and small press publishers that have influenced me that way. And I work in publishing too. So I have a lot of mentors within the industry. But my focus right now, honestly, is this crew in this room here, and people that I'm extending out from there. Because not that I learn from every comic I pick up, good or bad. You learn things. Yep. But what really enriches me at this stage in creating is people who are there to support you, encourage you, push you, criticize you, but not like maliciously or jealously or. Because like, man, you can do better than this. You just cranked through this issue, didn't you? You know what I mean? So I know that's not really an answer for you, but I mean, my list of influences is huge, and I don't want to pull out of any circles right now. So
I love that you mentioned criticism is not a bad thing. I mean, my words, not yours, but like criticism is supposed to be feedback, essentially, right? And it's critiquing, and so you should take that and learn from it.
I want to change my answer to just John's answer.
It's too late, Greg.
Just copy and paste anything, man.
You're Travis Gibb. It's too late.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, like you guys have said, there is so much out there. There are people who I think, okay, so I, in Kickstarter Connection, so then backstage at the Indie Comics Dispatch Megalith building, we were hanging out, and we were talking about different writers and their approaches. And I talked about one of the things that I struggle with, but it's just kind of my style, I guess, is I'm one of these guys that has a lot of that talking head action that drives a lot of readers nuts at times. Tier is someone that I admire because he hits you right out of the gate with action, and he continually moves his stories forward, but still develop characters, and usually a gigantic cast of characters, and yet they all seem like individual people to you. Mm-hmm. So I can learn that from him. Aaron, I love a lot of his dialogue. I love a lot of his where you think you understand the plot, and all of a sudden, whoa, here's where we're headed. Yep. And it's not some wild tangent. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It makes sense, and so I can learn pieces from all kinds of people if I listen. Now, I'm not one who gets offended if I give advice and someone doesn't want to take it. I could be wrong, and I honestly caution a lot of aspiring creators that be careful who you're listening to, because you know what? There's a lot of self-proclaimed experts out there that ain't no expert.
Yeah,
exactly. You have to be careful what you're looking at.
Yeah. That's what I agree with you on that, John, because that's why I don't get mad if people don't take advice from us as a group, because sometimes we're just not the loudest one in the room, and we're not the loudest one in the room because that's not our style, right? And so
soundproof.
Sometimes people just take advice from the loudest one in the room when they don't even have a success under their belt yet.
One thing I like to look at too, like when someone says that they're an expert, I usually move away from them, because because I've been writing for years. We've talked about this before in the show, but I'm still not an expert. Like, I literally just ordered another book from Robert McKee called Characters. I know how to create characters, but I want to see what a mastermind knows. I'm always studying, always researching. I don't consider myself an expert. So it is awesome that you bring that up, John, because there are some people, these self-proclaimed experts, and it's like, how can you be an expert if you're still learning? I mean, you can have the knowledge in that and have an advanced knowledge in that, but if you're still learning, you aren't an expert. Like, if I come in, ask you a question and you've never seen that before, guess what? You're not an expert. So yeah.
That's why I always stuck with the saying that someone taught me a long time ago. I was asking them, okay, what advice could you give me? I was in the hair industry then, and it still stuck with this. Still sticks with anything. She told me, she said, always stay a student. She said, don't go by this guru stuff. Don't go by this expert stuff. She said, because every day you're learning something. And that's my mindset all the time. Like I tell Tia and a lot of people, I'm like, look, I'm a child right now. My head is a sponge. I'm absorbing all this stuff. So I'm always a student. I'm always learning. I'm always looking up the next book that I'm gonna force myself to read because I just cannot get into reading books. I'm an audio person, but
I'm with you there.
Sit down. I mean, I'm gonna sit down and do like at least 5 pages a day and start doing that. So always stay a student. Never get so high minded because when you get high minded, somebody like myself will tear you down.
Aaron, do you guys want to? Oh, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
I was going to say, side note, the audio is actually great because you hear dialogue. Yeah. I mean, that's why I always read my stuff too, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Tier and I think, mention that every time we have a conversation about dialogue on these things is read it out loud. Yep. It makes all the difference in the world.
My mom's a school teacher, so I have no choice but to read it out loud. Exactly. She's going to make me read it out loud.
You dang right. Smack you with
exactly. It helps so much. And I was told that from a novelist, William Hayashi, who writes the Dark Side trilogy. He told me that because I was reading one of his books, like I mentioned before. Like, I'm like, dude, your freaking dialogue is amazing. Like, it flows from each character, and you feel each character based off of the words that they say, you know, based off the way they're talking. And he was like, oh, I just read it to myself. And I'm like, okay.
Well, and that's one thing I want to pop in here real quick and say that, like, comic script writers can get so much great advice from talking to somebody who's written a novel, based on dialogue and editing. Those two areas alone, you can get so much great advice from a novel writer.
Exactly. And I think that's honestly what kind of helped me.
I'm curious to hear if Tier has inspirations who they might be, because I don't think him and I have ever talked about it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You guys call out real quick.
Well, for mine, it's in the vein of John. We're just taking a little bits and pieces from people that, I almost said something really bad, but taking pieces from people that are good at their craft.
What did I say? What are you saying?
I almost worded it in a way that would probably get me canceled. But
bits and pieces from people.
Yes, you take bits and pieces. But it's very much, we talk about this quite a bit on our show, where everything seems to be in little ponds. We noticed, back when we started, it was our local pond, and then you start moving up, and those fish don't want to hang out anymore, and they get a little salty, so they move on, and then we move on to the next. And so all this progresses, and we've been jumping pond to pond to pond. So that those groups of people I may not talk to as much anymore. And it's not that I despise them or dislike them. It's just maybe I'm not learning. Maybe when I met them, they presented themselves to be somebody that they're not, and you find that out later on. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to be like, okay, cool, let's stay really close. No, I want to learn. I want to continue to grow. Doug Wagner had talked about one of the things.
Aaron's new BFF.
He's my new BFF. But I asked him about what if he's ever felt successful, and we got in this whole discussion about why we both fear that feeling. Because I think every creator should fear the feeling of waking up one day and being like, I did it, because you have nothing to do after that. And so he had the great point, because Plastic is, to this day, his most successful book, but he's put out titles since then that haven't been as successful. So hearing from somebody like that, that's, done the things that they've done, and to get honest about, like, not everything I do is knocking out of the park, that for me is more influential than just picking up a comic book and reading it. I like this stuff, like having these conversations. This is what inspires me more than anything else.
Here,
I would say for me, when I first got in, I would say, like, of course, there was kid comics, which I looked up to and looked towards. Keith and Jones, because I was like, oh, there's someone like me who's doing comics, so I will, just study what he was doing and stuff like that.
He's a great storyteller. Yep,
he is a very great storyteller. And an amazing artist too. So, and that's the crazy part. You know how they say all the time, like, most artists don't know how to write, but he's the artist that knows how to write. So probably him. My friend Thomas, because I pretty much told him to turn his stuff into a comic, so he started doing it. But when he started doing it, this dude knocked out like 12 comics like that. Like, it was freaking nuts. I'm like, dude, I'm still on like one. Like, it was insane how fast he went. But just having that person I can bounce ideas off of, and he would give me that great advice. So like that was at the beginning. And then one of my first gigs into the indie comic world and everything was inking, and Michael Brewer is an individual who taught me how to ink traditionally. So like he coached me on that. So that was like my first thing ever doing with comics was inking. So I learned that through him. And then of course I took it and made it my own style, and I grew from that. And he's been seeing it. He's like, dude, you've grown so much, you know. So those three, and then like for I would say more recent years, I would say like within the last 3 to 4 years, of course, John, like I said, we've talked to each other, bounced out, you know, I'll like try to make a post. I'm like, what do you think about this? And he might come to me and what do you think about that? You know, so John, of course, Paige Turner, because now we're like bouncing ideas off of each other. We got a dope miniseries coming. So
wait, which one?
Both of them. I'm not saying both of them. But stuff like that, just like he said here, is like when you find that group, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of the individuals that I met in life, I don't talk to anymore. The three, out of the three that I mentioned in the beginning, Keithan's busy, so I get that. Like, dude's like drawing for everyone now. But mainly Thomas and Mike. I talk to Mike every once in a while, and then of course everybody in this group is who I talk to now. So, and the same thing John would say, like I get experience, inspiration from everyone because I see what people do. You know, like even with what John did for Infinity Agents, like, and I'm doing a Yamo Stigmata, and that was so inspirational. And I'm like, man, there's so much more you can do with space. Like, you know, and that was like the inspiration to me. I'm like, there's so much more you can do. So it forced me to expand on Yamo Stigmata, and you get that in issue 2, like the expansion of it, and me building on the space,
you definitely do.
and the galaxy and everything of it, because seeing what John did with issue 1 and issue 2 of Infinity Agents. So yeah, we all get that. You know, I'm starting to lean more into my comedy side because of seeing what Aaron's done with Tilt and stuff like that. You know, so I mean, you know, all of that, even things that Greg has done, you know, it makes me like, okay, maybe I should turn
even
more
Greg.
to it. Yeah, even Greg. Like Greg's making video games, man. Like Greg's making video games, and I'm like, I just want to app. Yeah, I'm just like, I just want to app. He's making games, I want to app.
Greg, before we go on to the next article, go ahead and give your platform a shout out so that you guys can get more subscribers, hopefully.
Oh yeah, we need 5 more subscribers so we can like unlock our comic web store. Only 5 people. The last one to just subscribe was Mike Tenner. So, yeah.
About time, Mike.
God, that is such a Mike move. Don't
give that
bring his
URL.
name up. Don't bring his name up. He'll hear.
I was about to say it for the third time. Is it 3 times or 5?
Mike Tenner.
But Mike is the other guy who definitely, he's one of my inspirations now, one of the current ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's there when you need him. He knows
Black
how
Jackets.
knows how to manipulate social media.
I was about to say, not
stuff.
even so much his stories, which Black Jackets is one of my absolute favorite indie
same
comics.
Same here.
But the background conversations I have with him have helped tremendously.
Yeah.
I would say from him seeing Black Jackets and then reading Welcome to Everville, it forced me. I'm like, hey, I gotta bring out the Hellfighter ASAP, and that's the reason why I started working on it.
How did I not know this guy before I discovered?
Yeah.
Greg, give your URL for your comic platform.
Did you drop it?
Send it, Greg.
Yeah, send it, Greg.
Brett, you're trying to move on from this topic, but one last thing. I think a lot of those, you know, we talked about different circles of creators and stuff. A lot of that I think originated with like con circuits, you know what I mean, local con groups, and you'd meet up like that. And then with COVID and the end of that, and then the proliferation of podcasts and these types of streams, I think it's really changed. It allowed us to make connections that we never would have possibly before. I find that really inspiring.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great point.
It forced evolution. It forced evolution. Evolution.
In a minute, I'm going to drop Greg's URL in the chat. You guys can see it out there in the comments section. Go there, sign up. He only needs 5 more subscribers to meet their goal to open a comic store, right? Like that's the next thing. You can read all sorts of great books for free on the Seer Nova platform. Our next article, so we've talked a lot about inspiration. I think I'm going to let Quentin talk about his article for the Retro Comics Spotlight, a creator from Spokane. Quentin, if the aliens haven't attacked you yet, give us the lowdown on your Retro Comics Spotlight.
With this particular one, it was more, I was talking about Todd McFarlane, and a lot of people don't realize that comic books, well, yeah, it was a goal of his. It wasn't his first goal. He wanted to be a professional ball player.
Yep.
And he, where I'm at right now, he went to college about 10 minutes from here.
Oh, wow.
And he went, I actually attended the same school as him. Mind you, it was a couple decades later. I'd love to ask him, because I suspect my dad taught him a computer class along the way.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome.
But,
yeah, it is.
But the big thing there is, realize that, to me, what everything from that Image does and represents that's so important is, and I want to see it for everybody in indie comics. They bet on themselves. They had faith in themselves. They believed in themselves, and they won.
Yep. Yeah.
And
they did.
Aaron said it best a while ago. We talk about the big two. Realistically, with Image and the home runs they've had under their belt, it's the big three.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Q said something very, very monolithic, actually, when he said that Image bet on themselves. Like, I've noticed a lot of new indie creators, not even new, but some old, don't really bet on themselves. They bet on Netflix. They bet on gimmicks or Netflix or rappers or things like that to make them big, and it's like, you're creating it.
That's not
if you're
how
not
you build
betting on
any
yourself.
Other business, but they try to do it in comics. Like it's
exactly, Exactly, and it was like, if you're not betting on yourself, you can't expect anyone else to fall in love with what it is that you're creating. Like, I have a lot of people tell me, like, man, you have awesome fans, and cosplayers, because they see that and they say, oh man, he loves what he's doing. Maybe I should take a read, and like, oh crap, I get it now. And all of us up here who have fans, that's the reason why we have fans, because we bet on ourselves and not the gimmicks and not the quick road to Netflix and the quick road to WB, which they would never get my movies. I'm sorry.
No. Oh, God. It's the CW now, by the way.
Yeah. Is that what they changed their name again?
No. I mean, the movies are still WB, but the real shit stuff is CW.
No, I'm just talking about how WB gives no creative stuff. Like, if I come in, but hey, my character doesn't act like that, we're gonna do it anyway. Okay, don't listen to the person that created the character. Sure. But yeah, so bet on yourself, people. Just like Quentin pointed out, Image did that. Todd McFarlane did that. Todd McFarlane, honestly, is all of them. Yep.
God, I can't remember the rest.
Jim Lee was also part of it.
Yeah,
right.
Jim Lee.
Mm-hmm. We don't talk about him.
So we don't talk about Jim Lee.
He betrayed.
Yeah.
I was supposed to meet him before COVID.
Who, Jim Lee?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So that is a good point. That I don't remember if it was Tier or Quentin who said it's really the big three now.
It's Quentin. It was Quentin.
Yeah, I mean it is. So when we talk about Image, and they are independent. They're creator-owned titles, but they're a multi-million-dollar publishing house, right? And so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But they bet on themselves. So they won. Is that the goal of indie comics now, to become the next Image, or?
I hope not.
Okay, no. Talk about that.
I hope that people's end-game goal is not to just be like Image.
Exactly.
For us, and I try to encourage any creator to actually sit down and decide if they want to be a publisher, because it is a completely different task than it is to just be a creator. And you know what? We need both.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter at what point your companies are, for us, we're not at the point where we can hire a bunch of people to do all kinds of different stuff. Maybe someday, but my goal is not to become Image. I would love to have creator-owned titles, but there's things Image does that I'm just like, I could probably give a better deal to some of the creators. And look, even Image is still learning; they're still readapting things. And one of the things we talked about with my new best friend Doug Wagner, double name drop, was if Image was going to allow him to campaign his stuff before he puts it in stores or puts it out through Image. And I don't think he had thought about it before. And so he was like, oh, so I haven't heard since if he's ever brought it up with them. But I'm interested to see if they do adapt that, because we know that some other publishers are doing that now.
I just want to say, Quentin said something came up at home. He had to bounce, so it's not a signal issue. He will not be back on. But we're glad you could join us for when you could, Quentin.
Yeah, it's aliens.
Okay, go ahead. I think John was starting
Area 53.
Area 53.
Area 53 is getting out of hand.
At home in quotation marks.
They're trying to take him back home.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was me. I was going to say, like, my goal, to be honest, is not to be the next Image. My goal is to be the first Sovereign Comics.
There you go.
I mean, that's what I've always told myself. My goal is to be the first Sovereign Comics, and it's one of the reasons why, even though I have inspirations from other creators, I still try to make things mine. You know, in the way that I do stuff. Like, even the way I do my connected universe is dissimilar to like what Marvel and DC does. Like, one of the things that I noticed with them that I really didn't like is, like, if they had like an invasion going on in New York, Spider-Man was the only one who handled it. I'm like, where are the X-Men? Where are the Avengers? Where are these other teams? You know, and just like with what exactly, I guess, you know, but like what I and the page turner we're talking about, you know, with the story that we're working on, there's something that happens in one of these cities, but it still alerts one of the Cypher teams because it's actually an interconnected universe. Like if something happens in I'm not going to say that country, but if something happens in another country, the rest of the countries know about it. You know, you usually hear about it, and somebody sends something if they can, whether it's relief or a military unit or whatever, or they get together and say, "Hey, stop doing that." But everyone knows, and that was like one of my biggest. I was like, okay, that's one of the things that I'm going to change in Sovereign Comics universe. If something happens in, like for instance, in Cypher Team, there's the event in North Star City that's going on right now. Temple, you're going to hear about it in Temple High. I think Stars have already mentioned it because the point where they're at, I think, is after the event, so they've already mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
But I like that,
you know, and it's just that thing. So
of all of your comics being in an interconnected universe, Seer Nova as well, with your comics being in an interconnected universe. Then you have John and I who are kind of jumping between stuff that's not interconnected. And it should show everybody that you can do whatever the heck you want, as long as you put some effort into it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. You should just have different titles." I'm like, but why?
Right?
Like why? You know, I'm gonna have an imprint that's gonna be for my standalone.
Who set those rules?
Exactly. Who set those rules? You know, who said that every one of my titles has to be different? And I do have like ideas that are out there, and I'm like, okay, this is not gonna fit in Sovereign Comics proper. So eventually one of the imprints I'm standing up is going to be called Sovereign One. And that's going to be like all
Scorpio was about to say something. Now I want to
know
what it was.
My one shots, you know, all my titles that don't connect, you know. Go ahead, Scorpio. What were you about to say?
I was just going to say, save those titles, what we talked about.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you after the show.
Scorpio, let me ask you this. You're creating your own title. Is it going to be just a title, or is it going to be, do you have more in your head that you want to do? Are you going to be a publisher? Like somebody who's just getting in the game, where is your head at?
My head at first was everywhere. Like literally, it really was. You can ask my peers that are surrounding me right now. My head was everywhere. I was going to write it. I'm going to have my own publisher. But then I had to sit down and think about it. I'm like, wait a minute. I said, hold on, step back, take a step. And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create the comic first. And I'm actually going to go under someone's publishing for possibly the first 3 or 4. And then I'll see how, after I learn what I need to learn from them, then if it's time for me to do it, then I'll start my own publishing.
So let me clarify that for you. 3 or 4 issues or 3 or 4 titles?
3 or 4 issues.
Okay.
Not 3 or 4. Well,
he says that so he gets started. I think that's what we all said.
Now, but yeah, they all said that. They were like, because at first I was like, it's only just going to be 6 issues. They were like, you're saying that now. But as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, there's more characters popping up in my head.
I love limiting myself, though. I don't know if John does this too, because I know we've talked a little bit about it with some of your series, but I know no matter what happens, One Last Job ends at 4. I know no matter what happens, Welcome to Everville, or whatever you want to call that saga, is going to end with 6, because I already know the ending, and 6 ends where there should be a sequel. but there will not be a sequel. I'm just ending it that way because I like to
You
mess with people.
asshole.
Yeah,
You
I just
asshole.
like to mess with people.
That is rotten. I'm
Yeah.
not going to read it now.
That is messed up. Especially since I read issue 1 and I already like where it's going. And you're talking about it's going to end on a cliffhanger. I guess I'll pick up. We're back. Well, I guess I'll pick up. We're back in Everville. I'll handle that.
Yeah.
So let me get
back to Everville.
I don't know if John's similar because we've talked about a couple of your titles where you kind of. John is one of the kind of creators that doubts himself too much because every time I've ever asked him, he's always told me, "I could end it if I have to."
Well, let's I want to ask
It
Greg
is,
and
and I
John
actually
this
like
question. We've talked some about interconnected universe. Greg, did you get into this, and then we'll go to John. Did you get into this thinking I want to create interconnected stories, or did you just get in with one title and then it just happened?
I was just writing like one giant story, and then like I was like, I need to edit this because there's way too many things happening. So then that broke into solo series, and I'm like, this is now like an interconnected universe. That's awesome. So then we added on to that whole like newspaper thing of like what Tier's kind of doing with you mentioned different things that are happening in one story and another. So that we're doing that. We just did a lot of world building, #maps for Ink 2 and all this stuff that we just added for Ink 2 is adding like a whole another layer of the story for our flagship title, the Seer Chronicles, at the end of the first plot arc. So I'm just like, wow, we just added that whole thing. It's pretty cool. So
that is cool.
Interconnected.
Yep.
John, now you've done both. You've done interconnected and not connected. So give us the John Schlimm origin story a little bit, and then how you got into this, and then did you get into it planning interconnected, or it just happened?
I'm kind of like this mixed crazy beast. So I want to do multiple genres and multiple approaches, multiple writing styles. So they're not all going to lend themselves to like your traditional comic book universe. But I'm similar to Aaron. Yeah, I've got like Bird with Stick is 3 issues and it'll be collected. That's it. You know, could I be talked into a sequel? Maybe, but that really was the intention. Mask I have a ending in mind. Not sure how long I'll run it to get there. Infinity Agent's ongoing. Goth Ghost Girl's probably ongoing. Battle Royale Planet is intended as a limited series. That's one of the ones that Aaron referred to because I have a plan for say 4 issues. I have a plan for like the original plan, which was longer, going to depend on sales. And so
people.
Sometimes
this stuff depends on sales.
Yeah, you gotta read the room.
You're right. I mean, that's a background conversation that Matt and I have been having a lot lately. Is like, let's look at our titles. We need to start looking at where they're going. I would hate to have to, end something earlier than I would plan to. But I wanted to go ahead and get it in my mind that you don't know that everything's always going to work out the way that it's going to. Mm-hmm. So I think every creator should at least keep that in the back of their mind. Like, hey, be able to understand that sometimes it might be more worth it for you as a creator to step back on that title and maybe work on something else.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. This is the agonizing side of being a publisher, is that there has to be business decisions too. Right. And you hate to especially when you're going Kickstarter, people have backed it and felt that they're a part of the process of which they are, of bringing this to life, and then you bail on it. So I really don't want to. And I've got a couple of titles that did not ring the bell out of the gate. So it's a financial struggle, but I'm just committed to at least getting to a certain point, maybe do a collection trade, and then we'll see where we're at. And so you look for growth, and now I'm seeing some growth. So that's good. But see, that's the thing about indie, just like indie music. And you were saying, Scorpio, before, you do whatever you want. You do it the way you want to do it. And yeah, you start as a creator, then become a publisher, or try as a publisher and decide, you know what, that's not right for me. Now I'm going to shop to a publisher. And it's the same way. You can do a mini series, you can do any genre you want. And I've got things that I've got a fantasy series, Kingdom Macabre, that's coming. And that's going to be multiple mini series that then come together. So it's this long overarching arc, but it does have a beginning and ending. And then I have a few series that just will go on perpetually. But that is, like you said, Aaron, that's a whole different animal. People think they want to be publishers until, never mind understanding a Kickstarter process, you try to show them what the realities of the finances are. And keeping track of work for hire crews, So unless you're blessed like, you and Matt, where you've got a good partnership like that, I don't have that, So you're totally dependent.
Not with that attitude, John.
I do want to pop this question up from Dan Schmidt. It came in earlier. Where's number 2 of Bird with Stick?
Okay.
It's coming, Dan.
Here's the exciting part. I just got all but the 4 last pages. Man, that made no sense. I have all the artwork is finished except for the last 4 pages just have to be colored. So issue number 2, news. It's in the queue. It was actually going to be the end of 2021. I'm telling you, it's going to be rapid fire. I'm going to get even grayer, but I've got a COVID backlog and I want to get these books out to people. So the next one is probably Mask. Then it was supposed to be Battle Royale Planet number 2, but I think Bird with Stick's going to jump that because it's ready. And then we're going to dive right into number 3, so I can hopefully get that out for you too. I'm glad you asked.
I think it's awesome that y'all mentioned sometimes you might have to cancel a book, or sometimes books do have to come to their end, because I know out of my 5 titles that I've released, like Cypher Team and Temple High, those have to go. Like even if folks stop buying them, if I'm probably still going to keep writing them and still keep creating them. But the 3 that I had, like Ayamo Stigmata, Stars, and Orisha Exos, those were 3 titles that I was like, if they needed to come to an end, they could. I could just write them off and they can come to an end.
Well, also with your stuff being interconnected, it's some of those characters you lead into your stuff.
Exactly.
We don't have that option. If I'm going to end it, I'm going to axe the crap out of it. I'm going to go out on a high note, and then people are going to be mad. They'll be like, why aren't you continuing it? Well, you didn't buy it. So I hate to be that way, but come on.
It's the truth. It's the truth,
you
though.
can do one last Kickstarter.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's the truth, because
I'm working toward, man.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I had people even say, "Hey, where's the next issue?" I need more people to buy the other issue so I can make the next issue.
I think talking about those business decisions are vital. I mean, because
that's important. Yeah,
I'm glad that I have Matt to talk about all this stuff with, and one of the things that we even talked about with Paradigm was we want to get Matt back on the Everville series, because, like I said, that's 6 issues slated, and so our goal now is, he's going to finish up Paradigm 2, and we're just going to get another artist to do that so he can focus on getting the rest of Everville series out. And being able to pivot and make those changes, it's not the easiest thing, because it's changing artists in the middle of a story arc, but at the end of the day, both of us aren't the biggest fans of our first book because it was our first book. So anytime, again, when people compliment stuff, we're just like, yeah, well, you're lying. But, I think the first 2 will flow well together. And then how that story arc wraps up anyway, I think it's not going to be that big of a brain bleed. But like I said, we noticed the kickoff with Everville, and we really need to put some effort into continuing that series.
I do want to interject real quick, because Greg has to leave in a moment. So I just want to say that when he leaves, he's just going to work, guys. He's got to keep that day job. He's not signal issues.
We should have started a little bit of an argument, and then just have him exit.
Leave.
Yeah, just exit in the middle of it.
So I'm going to say it so that he can drink his beer. SeerNovaComics.com. Greg, whenever you have to bow out, we understand. We get it. Thank you for being here tonight. You are a friend of ICD and one of our newsroom members. So everybody go follow Seer Nova Comics.
Do it.
Sign up for a free account, or go the step further and get a $5, right? $5 account is what is the next level up.
It's like Buy Me a Coffee, except we don't have any show called The Red Door, which you can find if you sign up for Buy Me a Coffee for a Catalyst account.
Right.
See what I just did there?
I mean, what he's saying is they're going to have a show called The Green Door.
Yeah, it's gonna be called Under Greg's Door.
Under Greg's Door. We're just making fun of Greg because he did Creator Pop-In after we did it. It's fine. It's fine. We didn't create it, except we did.
I definitely said that you guys did do that. So.
Yeah, we noticed.
You did.
We noticed.
You credited it. You credited it.
Which only made us laugh harder.
Enjoy taking out
did.
those ideas.
That's why I'm laughing. Yeah, that's why I'm joking on it because at least you did do that. Like some people, are like, no, it's my idea. But,
yeah. So our last article for this evening, because we are over an hour, ICD and Friends nights always go over, and that's fine. We love it. Yeah, it's mega edition. That's down to just kind of the regulars plus John.
Should be like 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's always supposed to be a regular. He just never shows up.
He is.
Not if you keep harassing me.
There's only one person that harasses you. One person that harasses you.
Paige, this is another one of your articles. Aren't comics worth more than just a hustle?
So you're ending on a high note.
Yeah. This is one we're ending on. Aaron, give us the lowdown on the article.
I don't even have to. If you pull that back up and just scroll down to like the little press header, that just nails the whole thing.
It does. It really does. I was like, ooh.
All right, let me describe this. Quit pretending like you can utilize comics to manipulate a fan base into falling in love with your lame startup. But no, honestly, it's about the whole mentality of getting into this stuff merely as a hustle with no passion or drive or care for the industry behind it. So, of course, we talked about it a little bit already, but it never works. This is not a money-making scheme. Nobody has.
No, not even Marvel and DC have made money on comics. I mean, let's be honest.
They've been around almost. DC's been around almost
100 years.
Years, and about another decade, they'll be at 100 years. So I mean,
but the thing about it is, we do this because we love it. I do this personally because I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't do it. I have to tell stories some way, shape, or form. And if it wasn't this, then it might be novels, or maybe Aaron's working on a novel now. I mean, who knows? But the reality is this stuff is what matters to us. And so it's not just a hustle. And you can tell the difference in a product if you buy it from somebody that treats the stuff like a hustle and somebody that actually cares about it. Now, I'm not saying don't hustle. I'm saying don't treat the business like a hustle.
Like a hustle. Yeah.
Good distinction.
Gentlemen, any other thoughts on that?
I would say that without that passion, you're just going to burn yourself out. I mean, I think everyone here, even having the interest in doing it, is because you love them. I mean, I love the collaboration with an artist. You know, I've had people say like the comic product, the whole comic planning and production and getting out released to market takes so long. Why don't you just write prose? And I do. But like, I love the collaboration with an artist. It's just amazing to me. I love the visual impact of sequential artwork. So that's why I do it. And I've had, in all honesty, I've had some tough years, especially post-divorce for me, struggling, working long hours, working a second job, 5 days a week, coaching basketball at high school, and still doing Kickstarters up all hours of the night, writing, contacting artists, taping boxes and shipping them. And my kids are like, Dad, man, why do you do this to yourself? I'm like, because I love it. I look beaten down, but I love this. I love
good.
Yeah, you connect with people with stories. I mean, that's part of the crowdfunding thing. Isn't just a revolution for financing. It's a revolution for direct contact with your audience. You interact with the people who read your books every single time you reach out, not just to sell them something. You know what I mean? And that is just something special. So that's what drives you. And then hopefully, you're not just bleeding money.
Yeah, I know. Like you mentioned that just with the crowdfunding and how you connect with fans and stuff. Like to me, that's some of the things that put the biggest smiles on my face.
Yeah,
is when I get messages in Kickstarter, someone like, "Yo, thank you for writing this book," or "I really enjoyed this book," or "When's the next one coming out?" Or like even whenever I cancel Cypher Team issue 2. People were messaging me like, "Yo, what happened? What's going on?" You know, I got yelled at. Yeah, Greg.
Some of us you didn't inform you were going to cancel it. So.
John Scorpio. Yeah, I just kind of did it. Everybody's like, "What the fuck, dude?" so it's like,
I legitimately thought Tier got canceled off of Kickstarter. Yeah. Just had no idea why.
Like I know he did something.
Yeah,
I cursed in my video. No, but just to get those messages, I was like, wow, this is why I do this, because people are actually, they want it. They want the books. They want to see what's going on and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't treat it like a hustle, because you treat it like a hustle, you forget about that. You forget about the folks who have now put their all. I mean, in the end, people are spending their hard-earned cash to see your imagination, to see what it is that you've created. So when you treat it like it's just a hustle, or this is just a stepping stone to the next thing, you, in a sense, you kind of you destroy those folks. You tear them down in a sense. At least in my eyes. I mean, I know a lot of people are running for the business, not the business, but the movies and stuff like that, and the TV shows. But I know I've told people plenty of times, I'm like, hey, like if you look at DC, for instance, I mean, just look at Marvel. 1940s, I think, was their first book. They really didn't get a move. I mean, if you want to include like Howard the Duck and the first Captain America, I mean, like they had those. but I mean,
blockbusters.
Yeah, blockbusters. But I mean, they really didn't do anything until what? I mean, you had Blade, which Blade was dope. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, Blade's dope. Spider-Man, of course, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans and stuff. But they really found their traction in what, 2007, 2009. I mean, that's
because
decades.
They tested the waters with an Iron Man movie, and then decided, what if we actually really tried?
Yeah.
And then that's what happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You say that, it takes forever, but my whole thing on it is, I look at it the same way as someone that's a musician. Like, one of the worst things you could ever sign is a record deal. Always has been that way. So my whole pitch now I got from Kirk Lindo, who wrote Vampiris Luxuria or some wild book like that. But he had done a panel at the first con I ever went to, back when I was like, maybe I'll dip my toes into doing comics. And it was on self-publishing. And he said, I tried for years to get into Marvel and DC, and they wouldn't bother with me. He said, I launched this series. It's done well over and over and over again. So now when they come to me on my terms. And that has always stuck with me. And I look at that with the movie deals and everything too. If they're going to come to me, I want it to be on my terms, not just me giving in to whatever it is that they say.
Exactly. And then what people don't understand is, like, in order for them to come to you on your terms, just like you said with the guys you met, you have to build that fan base. You have to have content. Like, I've seen so many people, like, they do their issue one is like we were joking earlier, I'm option for a movie deal. You have one issue. If anyone is legitimately,
and now you're locked out from making
exactly. Now you can't do anything. They might not even do your movie till 10 to 15 years from now.
No, if they see something with potential, the smart play to do when you're in those kind of businesses is to purchase that content to stop them from making more content, so that you can make something either like it or make it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to succeed takes that hustle, like you said, but it doesn't. It's also more than a hustle; it's a grind.
Yes.
And to survive that grind, you got to be passionate. I don't think any of us would turn down the right movie deal. I know I've got some indie friends. I've signed 2 of my properties to with publishers, and some people are kind of like, "Oh man, you sold out. You don't want to be a publisher." And it's like, no, I'm still going to be a publisher. But where might this also take me that I can then reinvest back into my publishing?
Exactly.
So I think you just got to know what you're signing. And that's the whole thing.
But your difference is, John, you got content.
Right. You're right. You want to
have a library of stuff.
I talk to creators who are focused on coming up with the most marketable character. Now, and partly like, okay, that's very good business sense, but like, do you want, and I said one guy, I said, like, do you want to tell that character's story? I don't know. I guess I will, because that would really sell. Like, well, do you have I mean, I write stories I want to tell or I have to tell, and hopefully they're marketable, and I mean, I've worked in marketing most of my life, so I try to apply that for sure, but I'm not just trying to find a marketable character. That's going to be hard for me to be passionate about.
I want people to come back for a second issue. Right. That is my goal with everything I've ever written, is to see them come back for a second issue. Because I've said it before, and it's one of my biggest preaching points for this stuff, is art will sell a first comic. If you have fantastic art, it will sell the first issue. But if the story's not there, it's not going to sell the second issue. It can't just hinge on art.
Right.
But you can get by with it on your first. And that's why last year we saw a whole lot of people put out number ones. And then when they put out their second issues, those campaigns didn't
do as well.
Not as well.
Yeah.
And now a lot of those people don't exist in the market anymore.
I think one of the biggest compliments you can get as a creator is someone saying, "Where's issue 2?" or "Where's the next issue?" That is the biggest compliment you get, because that means that it resonated with that person, you know. And then if you have multiple people asking you the same thing, "Where's number 2?" Yeah, what Dan said right there. And Bird with Stick is awesome. And I just want to pitch this to you, John. When you're finished, I would like to do Bird with Sharper Stick.
We are definitely going to work. We are definitely going to work together too. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So guys, I want to bring us back in here. We're almost at an hour and a half, and so if you're out there listening, great conversation tonight. I almost think we need to retitle these episodes instead of ICD and Friends, ICD Roundtable, because that's really what it gets to. We get to so many cool topics that there's so much for a starting creator to go through and listen to in this episode alone that is worth it.
It's not a catchy enough title. It's got to be like ICD Destroys the Universe or something.
I dig that.
Okay. Destroys the Universe.
Yeah,
we'll try that next time and see what happens.
What everybody's gonna be like, what?
Or ICD talks crap about comics.
So John still has a Kickstarter going on for about 24 more hours. Go support that. Infinity Agents 1 through 3. Fantastic series. You can read a review on it on indiecomicsdispatch.com. You can also just search Indie Comics News, and we're the third result, as we discovered today. We're also, if you search Indie Comic Reviews, we're finally page 1. We're towards the bottom, but we are page 1. We are slowly cranking up. And if you just search Indie Comics, we're page 3. So we are making progress.
Yes.
If you want to help with that progress, there's a really easy way to do that. Speaking of Kickstarters, you can go support the Indie Comics Dispatch Year 2 Kickstarter. We got 4 days left. So this is the order you need to go in. First, go support John, because he's got 24 hours, okay? Yep. Ovation Comics, Infinity Agents 1 through 3, go support him. And then, because we have 4 days left, you want to go support Indie Comics Dispatch Year 2. We have already knocked out of the park all of our stretch goals. They went to 4,500. We're now at 4,544. We have already Brian, who had bad internet signal. He directs our Indie Comic Throwdowns for the Dispatch, and so he's already in conversation with the artists that we use for the first 6 to 8 throwdown. I think first 6 throwdowns. So all the cards you're getting are by the same artist, actually, and so we're using that same artist to do the Tier versus Brett special edition trading card for Indie Comic Throwdown trading cards, and he knows what our superpowers are. I know what tiers are. I don't think I've told him what mine are. So
it's gonna be his power is gonna be to counter my power. So no,
they weren't. I was such a 6-year-old about it, maybe 8-year-old. I was like, I just want fucking laser beams shooting out of my eye. Like, I don't care what the hell else is going on. Just make laser beams shooting out of my eye, and I'm good.
Just that's kind of distraction.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's gonna look cool, but you just lost with my powers.
I know. It's fine. We're not doing an actual pull on it, so I can say I won. So
I mean, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a cool card, though. Still.
It is. It's gonna be a cool card, and everybody's getting that now. So you're gonna get 6 total Indie Comics Throwdown trading cards. Our hope is that I don't know that we'll do another Kickstarter next year, but our hope is that as we do Kickstarters every now and then to support the Dispatch as a 501c3, that we'll continue those trading cards and next time be able to add to your collection. So right now you're going to get numbers 0 through 5. Next time you'll get numbers 6 through who knows. So it's going to be a cool thing. So go support the Indie Comics Dispatch Year 2 after you support Ovation Comics. And then finally, we want you to support the Wingless Comics Kickstarter also. Justice Issue 2 is going on right now. They're at like $4,500 also. But they're only 1 week in.
Can we pull up John's Kickstarter?
Yeah, hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah.
God, why you got
they need to see that dope art.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Because I'm curious because I saw some characters who were able to do things that they weren't able to do. So I'm just like,
dude,
what you do, John? What happened?
You have no idea. Issue 3 just blows it up.
Yeah, for real. Because I'm looking, I'm like, wait, are those the same? What
Issue
happened?
3
That's the
blows
reason why I was
it
like,
up.
okay, yeah.
Okay, so
I gotta see that.
John said he had 24 hours to go. He doesn't. He is sedated. He has 16 hours to go.
This has been
16 hours to go.
hours.
He's at almost $6,500, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
Go support that, and then let's scroll down just a little
On
bit
the
here.
real though, guys, seriously, if you're listening to this, Infinity Agents is one of the absolute best
Yes.
ongoing series in indie comics.
Agreed. See what I said about it?
It's Men in Black meets the X-Files, government conspiracies, aliens, and super. It really is. That's a great synopsis.
And there's an exclamation point at the end, so you know he meant it.
Yeah. So you know, it came from my heart.
Here we go. Shit gets real. I love that graphic right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, go support. John has tons of videos on his Kickstarter page. You can read a review of Infinity Agents 1 and 2 at indiecomicsdispatch.com. Go support John. 16 hours to go in his Kickstarter. So we want you to support that. We want you to support Indie Comics Dispatch. We want you to go support Wingless. And Greg is always asking questions about their next video game Kickstarter. So pay attention to Greg also.
Hey, let's give a special shout out to Greg, because not only is he a member of the phenomenal Indie Comics Dispatch staff, not only is he doing his own publishing company, developing a game, this dude is always out there promoting indie creators like myself, and it is really appreciated, Greg.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep.
It is Greg.
Always. Yeah, your many
he's about to cry.
Many,
he's about to cry now.
many posts. I'm just gonna say I think you're late for work, but your many posts
bold stance
of sharing links were much appreciated by us, at least at the Dispatch. It's been a great thing for creators. There's the Wingless 2 Kickstarter 4601. Go back that one. All these links are in the comments, by the way. SeerNovaComics.com in the comments. John's Kickstarter for Infinity Agents 1 through 3, the Indie Comics Dispatch Kickstarter, and the Wingless Comics Kickstarter, all in the comments. Go support.
I feel weird not having a campaign.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for that next one.
When's till June?
Motion Comics should be end of June.
Yeah. Are you doing it? You're not.
The campaign
you're not doing it.
will be like July or August.
Okay.
And just because his handle is on screen right now, guys, Scorpio is developing his first comic book, and he's been dropping all these great little videos about it along the way in his process. It is so much fun, Scorpio. I'm going to say this before we go. It is so much fun to follow you along this journey of developing your first comic book. And I want other people to see that, to be inspired by it, to know that you can do this. You know, you don't have to be Scorpio Chronicles, because nobody else in this world is Scorpio Chronicles. But
no one else.
You
in the
can
world
do
is
this.
Scorpio Chronicles.
and
Only one.
and he's so honest and so forthright with his process on this, and we get to see a lot of it behind the scenes at Indie Comics Dispatch too. But it's such an amazing process to witness.
Aaron may or may not have read the first 8 pages. So I mean,
well, I had heard that certain people got to read the first pages.
Scorpio, what did I tell you? I told you I really think you have something there.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
And isn't that all any writer wants to hear?
Yeah, that's all I wanted to hear, because I was terrified to send it to him. I even sent it to him and said, "Look, I'm terrified right now. So just be nice, but don't be nice. Be nice, but don't be nice."
Yeah.
So
I threw it in a trash bin, recycle bin.
I'm sure he didn't.
I didn't. It was awesome. He does definitely have something. I'm not gonna tell you what, but he has something.
No, you need to find out what he has. You need to follow him along, watch his videos, and just go with him on this process, because I almost wanted to ask you to do a series for us called First Time Indie Creator, and just because these videos that you post are just so raw and so real that I love, and people need to follow you. I mean,
that would be dope. That would be. I would consider that. But
yeah, do that for ICD.
Like I'm telling everybody now, I said, if you follow me, I'm literally building my character right in front of your eyes. I've even given out his name, but no one has noticed it yet.
Because no one reads the captions.
Exactly.
No one reads the captions, and they only look at the pictures.
Yeah,
like I've dropped this before. I'm like, hey, whoever shares this gets $100, and
oh yeah, it's fun to throw that stuff in there. Nobody reads captions.
I just posted
something. No one reads the captions.
Yep. They don't. All right, gentlemen, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Everybody who's watching this live or watch this after the fact, listen to it on podcast. Thank you guys. You are what makes Indie Comics Dispatch be able to do a Kickstarter and raise $4,500. I mean, what the hell? Never in a million years thought we'd reach that. But
I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
And if you haven't given, I have a list that I'm still marking names out as they go.
Yeah, we're keeping track. Oh, you're featured on the website, but you didn't give. Cross out. No, not really. We are wanting to be
I'll tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is for all you who are featured on the website and didn't back, all of your future comics are coming to me for review.
No, we're bringing those to the underground.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for being a friend of the Dispatch. Thank you for being here tonight. And to Quentin and John from Encased Comics and Brian Lambert and other people who couldn't be here tonight. Who else am I missing, guys? Matt.
Other John.
Yeah, I just said
other
that.
John. You said
you were
John?
somewhere else. Yeah.
I probably was. It was the whiskey.
We missed you guys tonight. We hated that you had to run, but thank you for trying to be here. And we got big things coming. We are filing articles of incorporation in the state of Georgia for the Indie Comics Dispatch as a nonprofit organization this week. Well, really within the week, I should say, because I don't know, it'll be this week. It'll probably be next Monday. So big things are happening. Big things are happening. So
how does that make you feel, Brett?
Bonkers, like crazy. Like we started this a year ago as me interviewing you, Tier, and being like, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like you were my first interview. And so I was like, I hope these questions are good. And now here we are establishing as a 501c3 to benefit the indie comic community. Man, it's fucking awesome. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's crazy. It's wild.
Yep. Wow. Everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Instagram, we're going to say bye-bye to you first. See you later, Instagram. And they're gone. And everybody else, we're jettisoning you in 3, 2,
Aquaman.
1.
Peace out, folks.